Hello, travelers. Welcome to the Copper Fox Inn. Come on in, take a seat, and join us as we discuss Homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. My name is Thomas the Human Bard, and I am joined today by...
Mercy the Tiefling Wizard.
Onog the Half-Orc Barbarian.
And Bean the Rock Gnome Rogue.
Folks, I was reading a little news article the other day, and it reminded me of a time, back early on in the history of Dungeons & Dragons when people just didn't seem to understand it. You know, they were scared of a new thing they didn't understand. It was a time that we now refer to as the Satanic Panic. You heard about this?
Oh, yeah, I have. I've heard of that.
Yeah. It was a time where a lot of people didn't know what was going on with this whole Dungeons and Dragons stuff. And instead of just being, a game like Monopoly, they thought it was literally trying to get children to worship the Christian devil.
Wait, have we not been worshiping Satan this whole time?
Well, we haven't been. I don't know what your subclasses are. But the thing is, I just think now how silly that is in retrospect, because now D&D is mostly, at least for us, an excuse to just have friends and pretend like good can win in the world. And so it just made me think of how silly that was that people ever thought this was a game about, like, demons or the devil or black magic or whatever. Anyway, sorry, I was just something I read. Today we'll be talking about the School of Demonology, a wizard subclass about summoning demons. This was created by user Sensitive Coyote 865 and posted to r/Unearthed Arcana.
So don't say
I have a feeling this is are you too smart to be a warlock? Here.
Did you want the warlock vibe, but you wanted to, do stuff?
Oof. So, I was reading this, and it reminded me a lot of a series of fantasy novels that I read as a teenager called the Bartimaeus Trilogy, about a demon summoner, like a fantasy series about a boy who is taught the ways of magic, and he has a companion demon he summons named Bartimaeus, and they're kind of like frenemies, where Bartimaeus is always like, haha, one day I'll get out of this magic circle and kill you, and the kid's like, haha, one day you will. But they, they work together.
It's a real Dread Pirate Roberts
situation.
Yeah,
exactly. And I really enjoyed that because the demons in that book had such a fun, they were almost more presented as kind of fae in Dungeons and Dragons are, where they were very tricky, they were very clever, they were very wry, they had a lot of humor to them, but they were also like terrifying monsters who would definitely kill you if they had the chance to. And you always had to be on your guard and make sure you did all the spells correctly to protect yourself.
Well, to be fair, the distinction between demons and fae is, anthropologically speaking, a very recent thing.
Yeah,
They were very much the same thing, only a couple hundred years ago.
Demons are basically just like smarmy goth fae,
Goth fae. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So, this is the School of Demonology, an arcane tradition. There are few schools as risky or as dangerous as that of demonology. To study demons, devils, and their ilk in an attempt to learn their secrets and obtain their service is to play with wildfire. Yet the rewards can be great. So this class, as we go on, you'll see there's kind of two major aspects to this. And I know we've discussed sometimes before in our homebrew discussions, like, we don't always love when they come up with like one feature and then every feature just modifies that one feature. And it's like, well, like, you got any more ideas than one thing? I think this is a good example of one feature that gets more interesting and more complicated as it goes on and grows in a compelling way, like design-wise.
And to be fair, in design spaces, the wizard is kind of where you can do that, because the real feature of the wizard subclass is
all the spells.
All of the wizard spells you can cast.
Yeah.
So it's like you already have all of this complexity through the wizard's growing spell list that you can draw from. So the class can be more kind of focused. Definitely. So we start off with the Impish Companion. When you select this school at second level, you learn to speak, read, and write Abyssal and Infernal. You also add the Find Familiar spell to your spellbook if it is not already there. The spell doesn't count against your number of spells known. When you cast this spell, you can choose one of the normal forms for your familiar, or you may choose an imp as your familiar instead. Your familiar is always a fiend, regardless of the form you choose.
Nice.
There's some room there for some very cute character art of like your little fiendish like fire bat or cat.
Well, in the Bartimaeus books, when you first summon a demon, they're like all shapeshifters, so they can present themselves however they want, even though they're all demons. So some of them show up as kittens, and some of them show up as like a baby with a cigar who talks with a New York accent.
I actually love the mental image though of it being a fiend, but that looks like a cat, but it's like a cat made of like shadow and flame, and you just, everywhere that you go, you're checking in at the inn, and they're like, oh gods, what is that? And you're like,
It's my cat.
my cat?
What?
A single
I-
bead
What
of
do you
sweat
got
runs
there?
down your
A
face.
smoothie?
It is my cat.
You've never seen a cat before?
I like the idea that, like, they could be even super, like, chibi, adorable, cute, but that they always have a little bit of fangs and a little bit of horn.
That's a little evil.
Like, it's like a bunny, but it's got, like, a little bit of fangs. Oh, that's Banicula.
That's Banicula.
I'm just
Guys,
describing.
I think you're just describing cats.
No, I think you're right. I think you might be right. All right, so the other feature you get at second level is the one that we'll be sort of modifying as the class goes on, the pentagram. Additionally, at second level, you can create a magical pentagram to protect you or your allies from harm, or to imprison your foes. As a bonus action, you may create a magical pentagram on the ground around a creature you can see within 60 feet of you. When you do, choose one of the following options. So you get two different options of what pentagram you'd like to use. The warding pentagram. For as long as the creature remains within the pentagram, it adds 2 to its AC and has advantage on wisdom saving throws. Or the imprisoning pentagram. The creature makes a charisma saving throw against your spell DC. If it fails, its speed becomes 0, it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed, and it has disadvantage on opportunity attacks as long as it is contained within the pentagram. The creature can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. When the creature succeeds, the pentagram disappears. If the creature is a fiend, it has disadvantage on the first saving throw it makes.
All right.
So you can either use these to sort of protect yourself from the demons that you're summoning, or try and summon a demon and then trap it in place for a little bit while you like bargain with it or something.
Sure.
Your pentagram lasts for 1 minute and surrounds the space occupied by the chosen creature, but does not move with it. A pentagram disappears early if the creature within it leaves its space, or if you use this feature again to create another one. Once you've used this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, you may not do so again until you finish a long rest.
That reminds me, I'm playing a cleric for the first time in a campaign right now, and that reminds me very much of a lot of different spells and abilities. And the last thing I just played was a paladin, which I hadn't done before either. And this is feeling very cleric paladin to me, of the ability to create zones. I think sanctuaries, does that do something similar? Where it's like you can create zones that either protect the people within them or trap the people within them. And usually,
I believe that's Magic Circle.
Magic Circle.
Magic Circle. Yeah, it's very similar to Magic Circle, correct.
I will say when we first read this, I was reading it quickly. I didn't read warding pentagram. I read wedding pentagram, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you can marry people.
Yeah, you can marry the demon that you summon.
That's cute.
It's
like
for
a
a very
demon-
niche audience.
You summon a demon, and you draw a pentagram around it, and you're like, you're my wife now, and so if you are mean to me, that's not nice.
That means we're gonna get a divorce. I get half your.
I get half your
I get half
possessions.
of hell in the divorce.
Jeez. Now that being said, if you marry people in the game of D&D, which you can with the spell ceremony, it does increase their armor class by 2. So
True. They could stack with the
you could stack with your wedding.
Dark Summoner. At 6th level, you learn how to better control the demons and devils you summon. Whenever you would make a deception, insight, intimidation, or persuasion check against a fiend, you may add your intelligence modifier to the roll. First off, I love the flavor of that. That's great.
Yeah.
Additionally, whenever you summon a fiend using a conjuration spell, you learn its true name if it has one, and the fiend gains the following characteristics. So there's 3 bullets here. First, it gains temporary hit points equal to your wizard level. Second, It adds 1d4 to ability checks it makes that aren't contested by you, and attack rolls it makes that don't target you.
Oh.
And 3, it may not target creatures within your warding pentagram, nor enter their space, and has disadvantage on all saving throws it makes against your imprisoning pentagram.
Ooh, you guys taste that? Ooh, you taste all that flavor?
The flavor?
You taste all that flavor in that ability?
Okay.
So this is where we really start having the class kick off. So now we've got our pentagrams we can create to either protect us or, another person, or imprison the demons that we summon. And then we're going to be summoning demons with, the demon summoning spells that already exist in Dungeons & Dragons. Mm-hmm. But
Yeah.
a lot of
Do
those
those
spells...
conjure specific demons? I thought they. I guess it does, but
It must conjure a demon of some... if it conjures a demon, it's a specific one.
I know we've had this discussion before of
Is it the same one
would
every
you
time?
be able to specify, I want to summon that guy. I want to summon
I would
Greg
like to
again.
summon Dwayne.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that, but this is, as part of this, you learn whatever the demon you just summoned, you learn what its true name is, which can be useful in some of the spells in regards to demons, or is it just in some of the demons' flavor text?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Does
It's
that
somewhere-
mechanically...
It does. In D&D, it does exist somewhere, but I can't remember where it is.
There are things. So that's the thing too. Mechanically, it used to be much more important to know a demon's name. I think it legitimately just kind of varies demon to demon and spell to spell, because the 9th level spell Gate, you can open up a portal to whatever plane of existence you want. And if you speak a creature's true name that lives on that plane of existence, they come through the portal. In older editions, they were, because it was a 9th level spell, they were all automatically compelled to obey you. In current editions, not so much.
So here's some stuff, real quick. Here's some stuff that I'm found online. People responding to what's the benefits of knowing a demon's true name in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. So to start off, it says, a mortal who learns a demon's true name can use powerful summoning magic to call the demon from the abyss and exercise some measure of control over it. So I guess even without a spell, if you know its true name, you can ask it to show up from the abyss. If you
do weird stuff, yeah.
And then a second portion, it says, where'd it go? From the Summon Greater Demon spell, at the end of each of the demon's turns, it makes a charisma saving throw. The demon has disadvantage on this saving throw if you say its true name. Oh. On a failed save, the demon continues to obey you. So there are a few caveat circumstances where knowing its true name might be beneficial when you are summoning a demon.
It looks like that first part, I would be interested to know what that first part was from, saying that you can summon them with its true name.
From the Monster Manual entry on demons.
That is interesting because it says that, but then that does not provide any mechanic. So
Yeah,
I
how
would
do you
almost
do
think
it?
that is just referencing then the spell Summon Greater Demon, saying that knowing its name
Maybe.
gives you a little benefit in trying to stop it from breaking out of your control. So it seems like in older editions it may have done more, but...
Not as much.
And
these days.
it was
Yeah.
probably one of those things where they were like, here's a little thing that you can do, and homebrew your own reasons why it will happen.
Yeah.
I think
Like,
that's
come up with your own demon summoning ritual that
this
isn't
definitely-
just a spell we made.
In multiple adventures, there are non-spell book rituals that you must interrupt to stop the summoning of a demon. That aren't, they're not casting Summon Greater Demon. They're just doing a ritual that is like a quest ritual that they have to get the 12 crystal skulls of whatever to bring the demon through the portal. And that's not in the spell book. You can't learn that spell on a scroll or something,
Yeah, and significantly, you wouldn't need to be a wizard or warlock or whatever to participate in a ritual.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that there's room then definitely to add in your games, like when you're DMing, to be like, you guys find a ritual in a book, and to make it clear that this is not a spell that the wizard can add to their book. This is a ritual that anyone can do. You don't have to be a warlock to do this spell. It's not a spell. It's just a series of actions.
Interesting. There's some there's some definite like gray space in there for 5th edition that in previous editions it seems like there were far more mechanics for.
Yeah. I feel like half of what you do in D&D is you encounter NPCs that are like doing some big ritual to summon a demon, and you're stopping them. And on a technical level, if the NPC cultists could do it, like, you should technically be able to as well.
Could you imagine if how to win the final demon summoning like combat encounter in your campaign was just cast counterspell and walk away? Like, well, I mean, technically it's a spell, so I counterspell it. Well, oh, okay.
I love the idea of like, if you're playing this character, like this is maybe how I would start off. You're level 1, and it's like you go stop some cultists that were trying to summon a demon. And then your character, it's like you have the opportunity to kill the lead cultist, and then you don't, and you just take them to the side, and you're like, "Hey, can you tell me about this? Like, what were you doing? Like, teach me about this." And that's like how you get your start in demonology, is just like you just learn from the cultists that you tried to stop in the beginning of the campaign. They're just like, actually, I think this is pretty cool. I think I want to do this.
I actually took a cult elective in high school, so
yeah,
I know a couple of.
I went on a study abroad to hell.
You could do that in D&D. I would love the idea of like you're the magical school kids on your study abroad in the 9 hells. Very fun.
Great.
So at 10th level, we've got Greater Pentagram. At 10th level, your pentagrams are stronger. Your pentagrams now last up to an hour. Nice. Additionally, whenever you create a warding pentagram, the targeted creature gains temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier and has advantage on Constitution saving throws as long as it remains within the pentagram. Now, why would a wizard want Constitution saving throw advantage? Anyone?
Maintaining concentration.
They're getting hurt?
Concentration spells. Wizards can keep up their concentration spells more if they are succeeding on their Constitution checks when they take damage. Yeah, so this is really good to cast on yourself.
That's very useful.
And stay in the middle, specifically if you're trying to, I don't know, maintain concentration on your Summon Greater Demon spell that you cast.
We just did a campaign where our party was just trying to stop the wizard NPC from taking damage because he was trying to maintain concentration on countering the demon summoning rituals.
Yeah.
So that would have been very useful.
Give him advantage on his Constitution check.
Saving throws, for sure.
Definitely.
I mean, this is really smart building because essentially you are creating a wizard who is going to rely very heavily on maintaining concentration. And so being like, okay, I have made this easier for you because otherwise I may have really screwed you over, you know.
Definitely.
If that's your whole thing and you lose it, then you're up a creek, you know.
Especially in like in the, I think it's in Tasha's Cauldron of Hideous Everything Laughing. It's like the new demon summoning spell that's like there's less of a downside to if it goes wrong.
Yeah, a lot of the new summoning spells took away a lot of, like, the original summoning spells were all like Conjure Elemental, where if you lose concentration, you lose control of the elemental.
And it actively dislikes you or something.
And it doesn't like you from taking it out of its home, so it's going to attack you first. But now the newer conjuration spells all just, when you lose concentration, they go away.
Yeah, but those ones, like on level, aren't as powerful as the ones where from the original like spell list, and so there's still some upside to choosing those ones with the risk of it going wrong. And then finishing off this ability, so we said the warding pentagram gives you a new bonus. Now, whenever you create an imprisoning pentagram, the targeted creature is restrained and cannot teleport or move or be moved by other means as long as it is contained within the pentagram. So originally just brought its speed to 0, but you could like knock it out, or it could like teleport out if it could teleport. Now it's really just like, it's almost like force cage. It's just like locked down in there.
That's great. That feels more like what you're trying to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you're trying to deal with a spicy demon, you need to really make sure it's not getting out.
I think it would be really cool to, as a mechanic for dealing with summonses and with the whole true names idea that is so flavorful, but 5e doesn't do a lot with mechanically, is because I feel like it should feel dangerous. I like it better. I like the versions of the spells a lot better that say and this thing could turn on you and mess you up if you're not careful, or if you don't know what you're doing enough, as being the kind of flavor there. Because when you think about the story that you're telling in D&D, and that's the story about summoning a demon, is always that, like, but he did not understand the power he summoned, and he thought his hubris that he could control.
Yeah, sure.
And so then it, gets
Bless
out and
you.
it messes you up, and you're the hubris of man, you could not actually control it. What if you know its true name, you can then send it away again? But if you don't know its true name, it doesn't go away when you lose concentration, and it can just mess you up now. Now it's here, and you've unleashed it on the world and upon yourself.
So that is actually that's very good. That is an integral part to the Bartimaeus books.
Oh.
Which is why the first act you do with every demon is you demand their name. And then to cap off the class here, the final ability, Demonic Mastery. Starting at 14th level, you can use your demonic knowledge to bring fiends under your control, even if you didn't summon them. As an action, you can choose one fiend that you can see within 60 feet of you that can hear you. You learn that creature's true name, and you use it to try and control it. The creature must make a charisma saving throw against your wizard spell save DC. If it succeeds, you can't use this feature on it again. If it fails, it becomes friendly to you and obeys your commands until you use this feature again. Powerful fiends are harder to control in this way. If the target has a CR rating of 3 or higher, it has advantage on the saving throw. If it fails the saving throw and has a CR of 5 or higher, it can repeat the saving throw at the end of every hour until it succeeds and breaks free. Fiends with a CR of 15 or higher are immune to this feature.
Wow.
So you can't just, like, capture Asmodeus.
Yeah, you can't walk up to God and be like, "Hey, I know who you are, that's it." But
Hey, Harold, you're mine now.
you're mine
That's
now,
God's
the
name.
end. But anything lower than CR 15, you've got a chance at least.
Well, and I like
pretty
that it's
good.
immune to that feature, but you can still learn. You can't compel it in that way to learn its true name, but you can still, go on a spooky quest in an abandoned castle and read
And
a
learn
spooky
its
tome
true name
and learn
in a
it
scroll
there.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you can put it in a circle and not let it out until it tells you its true name.
Yeah.
It does feel a little weird that the CR is so low for this ability.
I guess
Because
I
it's your 14th level ability. If
Yeah.
a challenge rating 5 creature can just shake it off, I don't know how useful that's going to be,
Well, so there's a couple aspects to it, right? So one is that there is no time limit to it. So you can just walk up to
okay.
You can walk up to a creature that's got lower than a CR3, so like an imp, right?
And so you belong to me now.
"Tony, you're mine now." And if it fails that first check, it belongs to you and obeys you and is friendly to you like a pet forever till you choose to use this feature on a different demon. So you get basically a demon.
You get one free demon.
You get one free demon with purchase of another demon. But it's sort of like a Beastmaster Ranger. Like, you now have a demon companion outside of your familiar, which you already have, a demon familiar. And if you happen to get a kind of higher level one, up to CR5, it still works forever. At CR5, you have to make sure, it's like, okay, I have him for at least an hour, maybe more, but probably not indefinitely, unless I can find some way to make that happen. But between CR0 and CR5, it's indefinite. So a CR4 demon, I don't know how many there are, we can look that up real quick on D&D Beyond or something. A CR4 demon would still be pretty good. That's a pretty good level. Like, CR4
bad.
is no joke. And then just be like, "You are mine now. You work for me. Do whatever
Now
I ask you to
remember-
do every day forever. You can't turn against me."
Now remember, wizards, when you take on a demonic companion, it's a big responsibility. You're gonna have to feed it brimstone. You're gonna have to not tell everyone its name. You're gonna have to take it for walkies. You know, like there's a lot. So just like think about that before
Remember,
you just
there's
go out.
no such thing as a totally hands-off demon.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When you're gonna find that demon's forever hell. I just wanted to say forever.
Is it
hell.
regular
very
hell,
good.
forever hell?
I
Not if
really
you're a
like.
Rakshasa.
If I know anything about the hit TV show Supernatural, is normal hell is not forever hell.
Nothing
Ooh,
lasts
you could.
forever.
Okay, I've pulled up the list on D&D Beyond of monsters challenge rating. Fiends challenge rating 0 to whatever. Hellhound.
Your
Nice.
pet. Oh, you could have a pet hellhound.
Yeah. Bearded devil.
Yeah, you can just have like a bearded guy.
A
who's your
forever
friend.
bearded devil. A
have a
nightmare.
demonic
The
one.
flaming
In
horse.
a way, I feel like Onog is our forever bearded devil.
A
Hey.
nightmare. The flaming horse.
Oh, that's
I
very
didn't hear a
good.
reaction from you.
That's
from that.
very good.
An incubus.
A Barghest, an incubus, a shadow demon. It's not up until Barlgaras and Cambions that now it's like, okay, a Cambion is
Yeah.
actually legitimately powerful. You probably shouldn't be able to have that forever.
right.
But you can have it for an hour.
That's the
and
thing,
that's still that's a lot of Cambion for one person.
I am
I mean, that's
consistently
a whole fight.
surprised how low the challenge rating.
That's much more than one fight, Bean. That could be like multiple encounters. Like,
Well, that's what I'm saying, like-
Definitely.
You will have it for the whole fight.
I am consistently surprised at how low a bunch of different things challenge ratings actually are. Like, I always think things are going to have a higher challenge rating than they do in D&D. I just feel like the way that Wizards divvies it out just is never what I expect it to be. And a lot of those quote-unquote like lower level things are really powerful if you
Yeah.
play them right.
So picture the power of this. I walk
Okay.
up to a Rakshasa. You know the ones? Mm-hmm. I immediately learn its true name. Mm-hmm. And it has to make a save. It gets advantage on the save, but it has to make a save against my spell save DC or something, right? Isn't that what it was?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, charisma saving throw against your spell save DC. If it fails that saving throw, it makes it with advantage, but maybe we can do some other stuff to give it disadvantage or something. I don't know. Like we could maybe arrange events in our benefit. If it fails, that Rakshasa is my direct minion for 1 hour, and it cannot do anything to harm me. Like it is friendly towards me and must obey all my commands. That's pretty good.
That's pretty potent. 14th
At the end of the
level.
hour, it gets to try again, but it might fail, and then I get another hour out of it. Like, ooh, now we're talking. And I can always have a banishment spell like in my pocket just in case.
This does remind me of the equivalent wizard necromancy school level ability, where you can point at an undead and do kind of a similar thing, except there isn't there isn't like a level restriction on it. But also like specific kinds of undead are, I guess, different. They're different from fiends, but like it's always fun watching power gamers and stuff try to figure out what is the strongest thing that you could steal.
grab,
I think it's limited by like your level. Like you can't have a challenge rating higher than your level or something like that.
It's limited by your imagination.
It's limited by your imagination, but like literally mummy lords that can summon their own mummies. So like, I'm trying to think of what the equivalent of that would be, where you permanently control something, and I guess the succubus is going to be your best bet, or an incubus, and they can like just literally mind control people at a certain point for you.
Oh yeah. What's the level 5 where we? No.
It's level 4 is the highest.
Yeah, level 4 is the highest that you can have forever, as your forever buddy. Yeah, I mean,
Forever Fiend.
shadow demons are incredibly good. I'll say that. Like, they're better than you think they are, because they can do stuff like cast darkness at will as many times per day as they feel like, I think, which is pretty nasty. Nightmares, I gotta be real, are also quite good. The nightmare has ethereal stride, which lets you teleport through the ethereal plane whenever you feel like, because it can bring 3 creatures with it when it does so. That's pretty good.
Because remember, they obey your commands, so
Yeah,
all of
they
their magic abilities now are yours as well.
You can make
Yes.
them do it whatever you want.
So the limit for the necromancy wizard isn't the challenge rating of the creature, it's the intelligence of the creature. So they have almost exactly the same wording, where it's if the target has intelligence 8 or higher, it has advantage on the saving throw. If it fails the saving throw and has an intelligence of 12 or higher, it can repeat the saving throw at the end of every hour until it succeeds and breaks free. And I think Mummy Lords are the highest challenge rating zombie or undead that has lower than 12 intelligence or something like that.
Gotcha. It's definitely seems like that's probably the framework the creator
was using to base this off.
Sensitive Coyote used. Yeah, because it's very similar wording. I just love that idea, especially because it creates this this wizard who brings a demon in, has it locked in a summoning circle so it can't get out, and then is like uses this ability, gets its true name. If it fails, you just like keep it in the summoning circle till the spell ends or send it back or whatever. If you succeed, you can drop your summoning circle and you're like, okay, cool, you're friends with me now. Kill that guy. Like, that's awesome. And now it doesn't require concentration. You can cast other spells. You could summon another demon. You can only have one under your influence at a time, I believe. Yeah. But
yeah, you can only have one at a time. Same thing with the necromancy.
But one under influence and one in the pentagram. So you got...
Well, you could have one in your influence, and you could have your familiar, and you could have one that's brought here from, summon greater demon, that you're actively holding concentration.
A whole posse.
That's pretty sick. I like that a lot.
What do you call a group of demons? What's it? It's not a gaggle. It's a
murder.
No, that's
crows. No, it's both.
It is a...
It's actually a parliament.
Nice.
Pretty good.
A doom of demons.
I actually have a thought.
Yes.
And this happens so rarely to me that I have these things called thoughts.
A dangerous pastime.
I know.
Yes.
So I think some people might not agree with this idea, because I know for some people, when you find a hyper-specific sort of homebrew like this, half the fun of it is going and looking up in the rest of all of, I know, Onog, this is your thing, in the rest of all of the books and the literature, ooh, okay, what stuff jives with this? How can I make this work really good? Mm-hmm. For me, as I'm looking at this, this is so hyper-specific, right? This has such a specific vein, and it is obviously keeping in mind that there are other abilities that just come pre-baked into D&D that you would use in Congress with this class. But for me, as Bean, I don't know what those are off the top of my head, and I might not know where to go looking for them. So I wonder if, at the end of something like this, if this is a homebrew that you are planning on sending out to other people, if it might be beneficial to include a kind of supplemental appendix that's hey, here are all of the different places in the D&D literature that mention abilities or things that would be beneficial for this class. And I'm not saying you have to list every demon spell.
Sure, I get what you're saying.
But footnotes at the bottom of see page
By
this
the
of
way,
the DMG.
Here's all the ways to summon a demon.
Yeah.
Here's all the ways to summon a demon, or just hey, just so you know, you should go read this page from the monster manual because it has information that the idea is that as as you play this, it's kind of expected that you would be doing XYZ. If you as a creator are the whole point of this class is it goes with XYZ abilities, and you don't mention that, because I know it's not part of your homebrew, that's a thing that just exists, but if you don't mention it, people might not know to include that. And
well,
it's about approachability and stuff, right? If I'm a brand new player, I won't even know how to do most of the things this class wants me to do, just because I'm not as directly familiar with the options available to wizards in their spell lists and magic items and stuff like that. Whereas if I've played for a long time and I have a pretty encyclopedic knowledge of like, oh, this is every demon between these challenge ratings, this one would be good for the job. It's very different for me to experience this class.
Well, and
I
additionally
think
too,
maybe-
it'll help. It'll help you when you're homebrewing, kind of avoid mistakes like the one Mercy and I discovered last time on our Fey Fighter, where we realized that there were no bard enchantment spells of 3rd level, and that was the only kind of spell the ability gave you. So at a certain point, that ability, if you don't have like the expanded literature, that ability doesn't give you anything, stuff
If
like
the
that.
only bard enchantment
Right.
spell is from a one-off unearthed arcana, it's like, well, I don't know what that is. How am I supposed to know?
Or it's like if
Yeah.
you don't have Tasha's, or if you don't
Yeah, if
have,
you
I
didn't
think
have
the only other
Xanathars.
ones were from Acquisitions Incorporated. So it's
Yeah,
like if
sure.
you don't have
Like
those,
one Xanathar or something.
this
yeah.
this ability doesn't give you anything. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely, though, a consideration for homebrewers when you are creating a homebrew to think about your audience. Who do you want to interact with this, and what are they bringing to it as far as, knowledge level? If it's like a hyper advanced 20th level prestige class, you can probably assume that they know D&D at that point. But if it's just an alternate like race or an alternate subclass, if you know that there's some weird, like, put a boxed text in to be like, just as a reminder, in the monster manual, it says this about true names of demons. It's like, oh, thank you for letting me know. I wouldn't have remembered that
Right.
without that little reminder there. But I think with that, we're going to wrap it up today. Thanks for listening, travelers. If you have a homebrew you'd like us to discuss on the channel, please send it to us at thecopperfoxinn@gmail.com or on social media at thecopperfoxinn. Comment below your thoughts on this class. How do you think it handles demon summoning, demonology, all that in Dungeons & Dragons? What do you think it does well? What do you think you would change if you were to design a class like this? Give us your thoughts below, some feedback. Remember to go to we always have a link to the original post in the description below the video, where we will link to Sensitive Coyote's post on Unearthed Arcana. So go there, give that post some love. Make sure to let them know if you really like this. You should, comment on that post or let them know that you enjoy it, because they were doing some great work in their designing this class, and we always want to make sure they get the credit that they deserve. We just talk about the classes. We're not the ones designing them over here, so we want to make sure those people get recognized for that, the good work that they're doing.
Also, comment below if you were a demon, what would someone have to put in a summoning circle to summon you? What objects would they have to put?
Yes. What 5 objects go on each of the points of the pentagram
For
to summon
me,
you?
it's just a can of beans.
5 beans.
It's
Five
five
beans.
individual beans.
But they have to be different, like one pinto bean, like
At
one
last.
kidney bean. Yeah.
I have the bean gauntlet, the pinto, the kidney, the black-eyed
balance.
peas.
The infinity beans. That's sort of like a VeggieTales Marvel movie, isn't
Oh,
it?
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, we shouldn't be doing their work for them.
Yeah, leave that to them to do.
Wait, I want that so badly, though.
If you appreciate what we do here, if you enjoy spending time with us talking about Dungeons & Dragons, liking the video always helps the channel, and subscribe if you want to be notified the next time we post a video where we discuss Homebrew for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And until next time, keep on adventuring.
Bye.
And hit the bell. Hit the bell.
Don't
hit
the
your
bell.
bell.
That's so mean. Just
Taco
like
Bell
click on it.
thing.